Speaking of generating revenue and all that kind of stuff, I was thinking about Rainbow Six and
Yes.
with uh, and maybe this may not even make it into the podcast. We may just cut this. So I'm just prefacing that you can speak freely if we don't want to. But we have new teams coming in who
Yes.
are inflating the prices,
hmm
but that doesn't make sense for the inflation.
Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, that's always one of the most frustrating things that I believe could be solved by um, publishers coming to terms of putting managing salary caps are so important.
Mm-hmm.
And
But
from the
why? But why?
so let me walk
Yeah.
you through this.
Tell
So
me why.
what because it's still in the process, esports is a little bit still like a land grab, right? A little bit for talent, and the
100%.
talent are finite resources. And every time it gets into this bidding war, the economics are already challenging. And then when you start to, get in this bidding war, it just throws everything out the window. Whereas if teams are enforced by the publisher to have a max salary cap that's in line with the actual economics and viewership, then it's easier to
But the publisher will
manage.
never want to do that because if you can start, if people are willing
But
to
they will.
invest,
So, but here's why they will. So, right now they can get away with that, right? But what they need to understand is a tremendous amount of capital has been injected to, a handful of these teams. Like I'm talking big money, 30, 40, 50 million. These
yeah,
teams are raising up to $100 million. And, the economics, like I was saying earlier, are going to be challenging. So they're going to have to really double down on those franchise assets. And then some of the supporting teams that aren't permanent assets that they're banking on being a generational asset, they're going to look at of like, really, what is the ROI here? And this is just costing us $600,000 a year, and we're not even close to covering our costs for that team. So why are we
right,
doing this?
right,
So, as and then some of these bigger brands and bigger brand power, they will just drop those teams because they can look at it from this perspective. If we hire an influencer, one person, and pay him X, that's way cheaper than fielding a team and travel and all of that stuff.
who stays at home,
Yeah, who stays at
streams
home.
regularly,
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's like and more brand friendly, is more apt to do interesting skit
totally.
content.
I'm here to entertain.
Right. So then it's like, why, if you're looking at both scenarios, one is going to be a lot more economical and give you a lot more reach.
Yeah,
So that's, right now, again, because it's been such a land grab and things have been, the dust will settle. And when the dust settles, I think, uh, every league or a game that's like a tier two, wants the big brands like a Cloud9, right? Or
yep.
a Liquid. And, they're not, they're sitting across the table of like, why should we have a big brand following? Why should we lose
Well, doesn't
five?
Cloud9 lose like some crazy amount of money on their CS:GO? Like, didn't
Yeah.
they just release that it's
Yeah.
stupid money that they're losing on it?
Yeah. So I think that's why, when you see some of the moves that Reciprocity does is, partnering with other organizations and trying to get some of these permanent assets to position us so that, we have some more, like I said, tangible assets, right? Because that's super important because, player contracts are great, but, ultimately it comes down to what is what is actually tangible here.
Mm-hmm.
So that, organizations who, don't have franchises, I think are in a serious long-term risk.
Right.
So I think,
Right. Well, even go and jumping full circle with Call of Duty, none of those brands, from
Right.
okay, I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but from what I understand, none of those orgs that
Yeah.
have built the Call of Duty community
Yeah.
got anything at the end.
Trying to think. Well, Optic. So Optic and Face. So Face partnered with Atlanta, but for most of them,
But I mean, for the ones that didn't get a franchise,
Yeah.
it was like, well, thanks for the run.
oh, I see what you're saying.
Right,
Oh,
like
yeah.
we went on this journey.
Oh, no,
it's been a decade,
Yeah, no. Oh, I see what you're saying.
right?
So yeah,
of these
so,
orgs building
League
this
of
brand,
Legends,
selling like
from what I'm told, League of Legends, when that transition happened from Pro League to franchise, they gave a lot of the teams kind of a going away severance.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for
Yeah.
helping build this. Thank you for being
Totally.
about that. The transition for Pro League to franchise was, more of, don't let the door slap your
Yeah,
ass on the
fuck
way
you.
out. Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. And
It's
I've
like
had,
we used you for what we could get.
oh
And
yeah,
then,
100%.
yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
obviously I can't speak to all my conversations, but there was plenty very unpleasant fuck you mentality conversations, and that's, it's disappointing, but ultimately they're swimming with the big sharks, and if
Yeah.
you're if you're not a big shark, like, we don't care at all.